Move to the next, and we'll try to answer questions and help you out with anything you need. So who would like to start first? Yep. Say your name, let's start out with it. You'll start. Francis, you want to start? Yep.
I would, but before we do, Chairman, if you tell us what the mills are going to be, or are you just looking for information tonight?
We're looking for information. We've got to work on mills, what we're working on. We've got a budget from the hospital, kind of what is needed for some of it. But I'd like to get everybody's reaction on everything too. We're undecided yet, but we'll talk about it tonight and everything.
So what will be the deciding timeline? Could it take a couple of weeks prior to the county commission meeting, I suppose, when you've got to report to them?
Well, I think that that's how that works. We'll have to report to the county, and the county does it all. Since legislative, we're all new to this. This got started this year, so we're working on it to make sure it's all done right. I haven't gotten the chain account set up yet. I'm not on this yet, because I'm waiting for everything to get squared away here.
Yeah, but Tim, technically, you're supposed to know what you're gonna charge for a meal at this meeting. That's what it's for.
Right. But Jack, just wait, let's go one person at a time, please. The hard answers. But I'll answer yours, Jack. I just got to check, because the mills change all the time. You know that too. So I got quotes on all the mills, what it's going to cost, everything, how much a mill's worth, what a mill can do per acre on the average, and what a quarter land, what it discussed. So we'll go from there. But we'll do each one at a time. That's something else.
Well, I do. I just want to address a few things. From what I know about the legislation that was passed, and then the vote that was held this summer, excuse me, Emmons County Ambulance Service can now go to 15 mills. So that is only 3 mills under what the county road department charges us for county roads or township roads. They're 18%. And it just seems like a lot of money. It's approximately $45,000 a year. Now, I don't understand much about the ambulance. I want a good ambulance district, but I would like if you could explain that. The other thing that I've kind of been watching here this summer that seems strange to me, and I know probably none of you board members were even on at this time, so you probably wouldn't have anything to do with it, but there were a couple of Emmons County papers where the legals came out. This is the only notice that the public had. A little 2x4 ad on when the election is. And I don't know if it ran 2 weeks, 4 weeks, what it ran. I didn't read this either because it was in the legals. And the ag sector out there, they just don't take time to read the legals. I thought this ambulance thing, because it is such large legislation and money, should have had full-page ads for a whole month. I think the public should have been really well informed. When the vote was had, there was 263 to point back at these 15 mills and say this is why the public doesn't want to do it. And I understand what you guys are up against. The legislation was changed. I don't know who the people were behind the legislation, but I don't think, guys, I only know 2 of you board members. Tim, I know you well. Adam, I just know you. The rest of you I don't know. I don't think any of you would have put a disparagement like this to the Emmons County voters. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, Francis. Our first meeting was on May 6th. We had a meeting. And that was with this Ken, that's with the legislation that came out, that's went to every district to explain this the whole thing. And they said they would take care of the ads in the paper, that what has to be done. He said we don't have to worry about it, they will take care of that. So that, I'm sorry if that's, like you said, we were all doing this. We got asked to get this board, and why it was picked, I always said why it was picked. I am on the hospital board, and I kind of know how this works a little bit, so I kind of got put on here. And I said I'd take like Leanne here, well, she works with the medical stuff, so it kind of helps to know some of that stuff. And Chris too, being a dentist stuff, that helps too. And Adam's been on the ambulance, helped here and there once in a while. John's been with the fire department and everything else, stuff, so, I'm sorry that, but them guys, they told us that they'll take care of that, and I'm sorry I told them it was in the paper, about that.
Well, I said that, our local board had nothing to do with that. I mean, it's not something, but that's the problem I have. We have people on the outside dictating this, and under 10% of the county now of eligible voters chose this because the rest of the county was in the dark. We just didn't know. And I'm not pointing fingers at you guys, I've probably been in the same situation.
Being said, ambulance, I know we're the only, or it's got the old ambulance like Stosswick's got, what do you call it, first responders, stuff. Like Linton's the only one that has the ambulance, and I've been here, I remember when the ambulance got first started, Nolan was probably with the first person that got appointed, with Gene Hughes, got this whole thing started, And I said, I put this ambulance in there, I don't know in this county for that reason, but.
Yeah, on KFYR several weeks back, I heard on the Daryl Lee show where Mr. Magrum called in, and it didn't even seem like he was aware about how this legislation all worked. Maybe it's just because they were on radio, but it just seems to have been in the dark, the whole thing. I do know, I did check with McIntosh County. They did theirs last year, of course, and they are running right now at 12.8 mils, and they're stuck now at the 3% increase every year that you can do. But it is spending, guys.
I think Logan County did it, I think, last year too.
They did also.
See, even the part of it is, some of Kintyre area is in the Logan County, They have to pay 50 mils, and there's some parts, because Bismarck, I think, it's got their own, I think Metro owns that, I think, whatever you call it. They have their own ambulance service up there. And their parts, in the northern part of Lincoln County, they're in the part of it,
The Northwest, right?
Yeah, northwest, and they'll come, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
It is with that's the hard part when you have an off-year election. Nobody pays attention, especially the ag sector. Because it's an off year, everybody's busy, and it's just easy to get this stuff through without anybody knowing. And I know the board had nothing to do with it, I'm not pointing that finger, but I think in the future, I gotta be way more careful, and I would really watch the taxes, what you charge.
see, I want to see what the legislature's going to come up with this fall, because I hear they're going to look at that 3% too, of doing something different with that again too. So I don't know what's going on. And I know I heard about it last year, that this was coming. They figured it was coming. But I didn't know what it was about, really, until you sit down and go through it.
Anyway, so somebody else can talk. Thank you for putting me on.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, Kenny. You can't wait till this fall because the time is now. You can't wait what the legislators are going to do this fall. The time is now. What I'm going to say is we've been giving the 2 mills, and the ambulance district has been fine for several years living on 2 mills. So I would hope you would have some restraint and stay down at 2 or 3 mills. You've been able to live on that for several years, the 2 mills. Now, I know the people behind this are pushing for the 15. I've watched this from the start in January. I watched Adam Parker give his little speech to the legislators up in Bismarck. Very disappointed that our legislators didn't do research. They took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and all but 6 kind of saw through what was happening here. So I'm just asking for this board to have restraint. Times are tough, not for the cattle guys, but for the grain guys. There's no prices. We could end up in situations where taxes don't get paid. If this goes on for a few years, please keep the mills down where they've been the last few years. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Okay?
David Mott from Hazelton.
Okay.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong here anywhere, but you're completely independent of the hospital now, right?
Yes.
Nothing to do with, so what you do here is, you know, we're gonna be able to watch just this as a business now. Okay, but I don't think you have to ask the county for any permission if you raise the mills, do you? He's a commissioner.
No, it's us as a board that can decide what the mill is gonna be. But I like to see a budget, you know, our hospital bought us a budget and stuff to look at and everything to go through, to see what needs to be done, because the hospital has been losing, it's like almost 200,000 a year on the ambulance right now. And it goes back to a lot of things ever since COVID, since 2019 with COVID. You know, the ambulance has got to go out for everything. They have to have more people on call. You have to pay different. And then down there's a sports event, something going on. You see the ambulance there. They're not getting paid to go. They, you know, there's some charges there for all that stuff.
Well, okay, so we all have some questions on that too. Well, as long as you address that. Are we gonna start charging these events to come with the ambulance to sit there during an event instead of just doing it for free? I know we've done it, it's been nice to have that, but now that you're independent like a business, I don't think we should send the ambulances out to Braddock or Strasburg Rodeo. You could charge a minimal fee, and that might help generate money to keep the mills down, you know?
A lot of it is school end, you know.
Well,
You're gonna end up paying anyway, so all taxes, no matter how you figure it out, you know. What I'm trying to say is like parades, 4th of July's, football games, basketball games, you know, whatever, some event that ambulance has.
yes, I know.
Request.
If the hospital lost 200,000 per year or 250, how much of that was because of the ambulance, or none of it?
Well,
I know, but it was intertwined, so how could you tell who lost the 200,000?
well, it's all kept track, you know, separately, you know, from each.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out if the hospital's losing that much, how they can stay in business at 5 mills, you know, are they gonna wanna raise theirs too? I know we're not here to talk about the hospital.
We're just here about talking
But,
about this.
okay, back to the 15 mills. What I've learned, you've gotta go to 15 1 year to establish a cap. So you can't do 2 or 3 like what he's asking. Is that true or false?
I've been checking that out. I've heard 2 different stories. I've heard you can go with this, but the legislature put a 3% cap on it. So if you go, let's just say we use 5 mils or whatever, just for a common number. You could maybe go 3% up to that. You could maybe go, maybe 6 or 7 mils or, you know, something like that you could change to.
Well, who can give that answer on this 15 mil cap?
Who can get
Well, I mean, shouldn't we know that by now already from the legislature?
It's not, the legislature just gave us the approval, or since this vote gave us the approval, we can go up to 15 mils. Doesn't mean we have to go to 15 mils. But it's there just in case it would have to be. I don't know why. It was just a spot to end, you know, instead of 10 mils, 15, whatever it is.
Well, we heard that you go 15 and then you can back off the next year to 5 or whatever, but you always have to be able to go back up to 15. So if you start out at 5 and forget the 15, you can never go back up.
I see.
That's what we learned.
I've been asking on that, and I've got 2 different answers.
Okay, all right.
So I'm not quite sure which one's correct. So I've been working on it.
I think I'm right, but you know.
Because I know I've been told that once, so I called somebody, check some of this out, and they said no. But that's legislative might change something.
I have a question, Tim. You keep bringing up the hospital. What was voted on is only for the ambulance. The ambulance has no connection to the hospital business. We voted for you guys to determine what mills will be set for the ambulance. We already, our taxpayers are paying a certain amount to the hospital. We're paying here to the hospital. The hospital has no bearing on this ambulance. None.
And we,
No, it can't, not what we voted on. Has no bearing, legally not.
You know, and it's not, I agree with you, okay, it's not, we're not trying to make money for us. This to keep the ambulance for itself.
No, the only reason I brought it up, Tim, is you've mentioned how it ties into the hospital. That's the only reason I brought it up. You gotta see what happens with the hospital. You said a couple of times, that's the only reason I brought it up. So,
Well, I have to get a budget from the hospital in order for us to look over things. I just can't say I'm gonna give the ambulance this much money without knowing what they need. You need to know what their budget line is, where you start from. It's like with anything, you start, you know, you need an operating loan in the spring, you gotta kinda know what you all need too, okay?
do you have a financial report that we can look at?
There's one here if you wanna look at something. I think it's open to the public. I don't foresee anything wrong with it.
Are these two different ones?
Don't you think the hospital's gonna say, well, if the ambulance should take all the responsibility then for everything that they got?
Want
that
a
they need?
budget?
Francis, you
It's here to help out because the Linton Hospital, there's only one of the 9 hospitals in the state, I think, that own their own ambulance, that kind of, or have, you know. And they're all local at, you know, kind of in trouble because you got like Bismarck State Metro, they're owned by some privately owned, like you would own them. And you can charge if you want them, it's, you know. I don't know where this is coming from, what the whole thing is going about.
According to this chairman, needed tax levy, $602,000. So they're gonna have to go to the 15 mils.
Well,
Am I reading? I'm not sure.
well, it's,
Is it all, is this strictly for the ambulance? This is not the hospital.
yes.
So they're saying in here that the total estimated budget is $883,000. And they've got $299,000 coming in.
the request is right at the bottom,
Where do you see that?
right here.
So $584,000.
Yep, 13.25 mils
So there's gonna be almost.
for the ambulance.
You know, that's what's requested. I'm not saying that's what, you know, what's gonna happen, that's what.
Why didn't you say it right away? The question has been asked and you seem to not know. Why don't you just say it right away?
I don't know.
It's right here.
Yes, it is. That's what they brought. It's not what we decided, okay? We haven't decided nothing. You know what I'm trying to say, Kate? We haven't decided nothing. It's what was brought here. We have to, as a board, decide that. That's why I can't say what they're gonna say. I'm just here to answer your questions for you. I don't know. We have to all look at this.
What happens, Chairman, if, say they don't receive the $584,000, are there cuts then to the annual expenses, or?
It's gonna have to be other way.
Because they pretty well, they got personnel and staffing at 507, say 508,000 alone. And then defibrillators 150, and the rest of them are smaller. I'm not sure.
They didn't even have to print it.
See this drawing? So the way it worked before, Sharon, the ambulance got 2 meals every year on the county taxpayers. Was the hospital then financing the rest of what was short? Because that'd only be like about $120,000 would be 2 meals. So was the hospital coming up with the balance?
Like the mill, well, you know about the mill's change every year. Like the mill right now, I checked today what the mill is for this year is $43,152 and some cents. I think is what it was. Something like that it came out to be. You know, and that changes every year because that's what goes on, what, you know, real estate, what happens in the property, everything, if it goes up or down. That can come down too, or go up some more. It all depends what the values of everything goes.
So there's an article in the Emmons County Record where, and this was done a little earlier this year, where it said the hospital cannot sustain the lose. Is it $250,000 a year? they must have been losing on this ambulance thing, I'm assuming.
That's what our, as Nick, every meeting, that's what it comes about. It's about the, costs, keep going.
You should have had a financial statement from the hospital here tonight, being it's intertwined. We should be able to see that also. We don't know. Ambulance money shouldn't be going to the hospital. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it can't anymore after this.
Because of this.
Right.
Right.
The legislature.
I'm Ann Bernhardt, for those of you that don't know me. I have a few questions. So, first off, our ambulance has always been a volunteer ambulance. How many staff are actually getting paid? Or do they get paid on every run?
You're paid on call. So I have 4 full-time staff that are here 24/7. Me included, I'm here 5 days a week, but the rest of my staff all gets, like Lyle covers call, gets $50 for the shift, and it's called indicates his wage. But I do have 4 full-time paramedics.
That are sitting here full-time every month?
One per shift. One 40-hour shift. So I don't have multiple sitting in here, no. I have one here, but I got 4, it takes 4.
24/7, 7 days a week.
And when you go out on a call, how many go out?
2 during the day, 10 and 3 at night, I don't know what I'm getting into. And I'm not 5 minutes from the hospital, I'm out by Cat, I'm in Strasburg, I'm up in the Braddock area. I'm over by the whole county, other than a little bit in the Kintyre area. We have our hands full sometimes, a lot of times. You guys hear through the grapevine what kind of calls are going on, you guys all related to everybody around here. You know the crap we're dealing with.
And I do.
Good, but not that good.
I should have prefaced that with, I think I speak for everybody here, we all know we need an ambulance. We have a very good ambulance, and we support you. So it's nothing personal, I just want to say that up front. Can you clarify for me, you said in the past, the ambulance was getting 2 meals out of the hospital budget, or was that in addition to it?
That 2 meals come from the call.
Okay, and that was 43,000. And now with the 13 meals, you're looking for 584,000.
Well, I know that's
Right. So we're going to go basically 43,000 up to 584,000. Now this is a separate entity. Will you be getting any funding from the hospital?
They were getting 2 mils, so they got 120,000.
Oh,
It's
okay.
about 45,000 a mil.
Okay, I got. Thank you. So, because you're a separate entity, will you get anything from the hospital at all? Will you share staff? Will you get any kind of funding at all for the hospital, or is this going to be your only budget, what you take in for meals?
That's something I guess I have to almost ask like the hospital administration too. I know, Lucas, what you want. More there, so. I hate to put you on the spot either, man. Just for ambulance service, so that's nothing.
Okay. And then, okay, move on to somebody else.
I got a simple question. Is this building paid for?
It's pretty well paid for. The hospital kind of.
And to say what Ann said, none of us are anti-ambulance. Definitely. We're just asking, if you do get the 600,000 or whatever the figure is the first year, then after that, if you get half that, we're just wanting you to watch what you're spending because,
It's gonna have, we're gonna have to give it to the public, no matter what it's done, because it is your guys' money.
Well, it's
you guys have to know about it.
It's actually good that you're split away from the hospital, in my opinion, now, because now we're going to see what this place can do and what that place can do. That's a good thing, because you can't, I don't blame you for not being able to answer this, but it was so intertwined you couldn't tell who was losing that 250,000 that was in the paper. So, I think it's a good thing.
Okay, I thought of a question. Do you have, when this budget was made, do you have a comparable budget from last year's ambulance? How much did these line items increase?
No, sorry, I don't have one from last year. I don't think it's going to change that much. It all depends. How many calls that were received from every year, that makes a big difference too. Your calls, how many calls, I don't know how many calls from last year, how many calls so far this year, but that probably makes a big difference too.
How much does the ambulance generate? Before I get the correction on the mills is 42,200. But anyway, how much does the ambulance make a year when it does charge? Is that in that budget? Does it come out of what needs to be taxed? So let's just say it makes 100,000 a year. Is that in that budget or not?
Annual revenue.
Oh, so 300,000.
Yeah, the top of the loop, on the blue, it tells us. And they might probably call, get some of that cards, it might never get paid, insurance might, you won't pay. But insurance works sometimes too, It's, like everything else, you get someplace.
And that's built into your budget, you've got the bad debt write-off into there.
So is it this expensive to run because it is a fully staffed ambulance now? It's like like an EMT, and people jump in an ambulance and go, is that why it's so expensive to run?
Well, yeah, you got, I was it 3 minutes, 4 minutes to get here, right? No, you get a call.
3 minutes,
So it's hard on these guys. I see them go out and maybe, all the fire calls, they come along just cases. Somebody would get hurt. They don't show up and somebody gets hurt, who's gonna get blamed for it? There's two sides to the story to look at.
So did you say there's 4 or 5 staff?
I have 4 full-time staff.
Is that with you?
I'm the 5th one, but I work also in the hospital.
Okay. So those 4 people getting paid 508,000, or does that include you?
That includes everybody's wage.
So the entire ambulance staff, how many
Yes.
people?
21 total.
21 people get $508,000 a year. That number there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if that's the budget projection, how in the world were we doing it on 2 mills before?
Well, that's why the hospital is taking
Right, so it was a combined loss then between the hospital and the ambulance, it had to be.
well, yeah.
Okay.
And blower, because you're on both boards, is the hospital going to increase their budget, knowing that they don't have to support the ambulance?
This is all new, so this first year is gonna be a little experiment, I'm not saying I got all the answers, to answer all your questions, I don't know for sure. But we're gonna try to work through this, and so we can make everybody understand it all.
And I think we're all just concerned because we know once it goes up, it doesn't come down. People in town, and I didn't have time to look, for the majority of the people, when they get that $1,600 tax credit, most people I don't think meet that. So they're not going to notice this increase. But as a farmer, you're a farmer, you own land, I'm going to feel it. I figured mine is going to go up at least $1,500 a year. And that's why I'm here. I want you guys to be accountable. You're spending $1,500 of my money. And I want you guys to be aware of that and look me in the face and say, this is necessary. We didn't spend unnecessarily.
I think it's a big thing. A mill, average quarter, what is tax for a year? Average quarter in Emmons County is $631. Average tax what it costs. A mill per acre, or what it would be, comes out to about 31 cents on the average per acre. So if you got 1,000 acres, it would cost you $310. At 10 mills. I just got 10 mills.
So how much per quarter is that then?
$631, right, roughly, right in that area, is what a quarter, on the average.
Yeah, and
There's
then-
gonna be higher, there'll be some lower. That's the average of Emmons County.
And I took my last.
So we do 15 mills
It's
on
close
there.
to 10,
If we do 15 mills on there, that'd be how much per quarter increase, $30 well? Or what did you come up with? Or Ann, did you figure it out?
Yeah, 150 on one of mine, and that's, yeah. I did, I figured out every single parcel that I own and what it would be, and it would be about $1,500 minimum. And
At
that,
15 mils, it would go.
at 15 mils.
So,
correct.
and how much-
And that did not include the increase in ag land value, which Craig was unable to verify for me what percentage we're going up this year. So I can't imagine, if you go 15 mils, there's no way it's gonna be less than $1,500 on my parcel.
And I think that number is probably an old number,
I just got it today.
because
Yeah.
Jerome here says, his is in the Zealand area, he's at 2,000 a quarter. And you're probably, yeah, so, I mean, we are the faces paying these bills, and you need to have consideration for the people that are paying, and at least keep stuff to a minimum. I love your floor here, but I don't think it was needed to have a nice, beautiful floor like this in an ambulance that taxpayers pay for. All you need is cement. You can look around everywhere, and you need to cut because we are paying the bill. And there's farmers out there in the grain business going to be struggling if these prices hang on. These taxes will get hard to pay. Cattle guys are doing well, not the grain guys.
And it's 1,500 just for the ambulance, but what's my county gonna increase? What's the fire department gonna increase? That's just the ambulance increase that I'm looking at. The schools, we're feeling it,
Your schools is having taxes. If you look at it.
Exactly, but they're probably gonna increase their
I
budget.
think that they should have that out. I think they're that out by November. What's it out with?
It is, because they have their budget meeting, but that's what we're saying, just your ambulance
and
alone is gonna increase
I
that.
talked to Morrows today. The Linton School is not put in, but yet what their tax mill is gonna be.
Okay.
Because I wanted to find out. I know Hazelton is asking for 12, right?
12 mills. Did you say 31 cents an acre now on a quarter?
On the average if it's on the average of $631, you know what a quarter costs? It was figured out at about 31 cents an acre.
Okay, so I had Marla's figure my land up northwest of Hazelton, so that's heavy soil. She came up with 15 mills, she came up with $58 on the prairie and 60 on the farmland per quarter for the 15 mills. So that's my example. So that came right from Marla's.
Right, because your land is probably higher than the average.
It is, but
When you take some land out west, it's probably lower than this.
and they go by soil type, but that's kind of an average. So
It's probably an average about 65 cents across every acre in Emmons County, because there's about 970,000 acres in Emmons County. And if you're gonna have to go, well, you don't have to go to full 15 mills, but at $645,000, that's what it's gonna average. About 60 to 70 cents depending on the property.
'Cause I just went across the average and what it would be across. Tom, yours could be higher, Ann's could be lower. We don't know, Don's could be higher, everybody, you all know what your land is valued at, so.
So, on these expenses, I don't even know what this is. It's AVL E-EMS. What is that? For 50,000 a year.
That puts Dr. behind the back of the ambulance with good screens. We'll have a computer back there. We have a connection, we have backing, we have increases what we can do for our patient tenfold.
Okay. And then on that life pack,
Like back 35s are defibrillator monitors. My ones are currently 15 years old, they're starting to fail, they don't make them anymore.
so at that 144,300, is that every year you have to
Nope,
invest
that's
that?
one time.
So should that change this budget number after this year then by $144,000?
Yes.
So next year, the mill levy request instead of 584,000 would be about 430,000?
If everything stays the same, yes.
You know, something could change, if something like, it could come down, say, the ambulance breaks down or something where a guy needs a spare. Because I think we have a spare, right?
Yeah, no less, but they both get utilized quite a bit.
Right. You know, sometimes they're both out, you only can use a third, you know. Sometimes could happen.
Well, if that's gonna happen, you could start out lower than the 13.25 this year, because next year it should be down, your expense.
Yeah, this is for 26, is much. This is for 26, what is asking her, this is for 26. Because we ain't gonna get no money till, when is it, December, or whenever we get the money, I think, from the county, or is it January?
Yeah, but you're gonna get it.
Yeah, after
We
February.
pay the taxes at the end of February, or 15th of February is that's when we're gonna start paying the taxes.
Right.
As people pay their taxes, that's when you'll get the money.
You know, some paid earlier before the end of the year.
Yeah,
And then the rest.
And you'll get tax checks from the county all year long.
I don't know how you do the work, and I've asked Marlos how it's gonna work, I've gone, pay quarterly, monthly, however, you know.
That's how we get it with the fire department, is I get checks, once a month I get a check. Somebody will always come in and pay the taxes, and we get our share of it, whenever they pay the taxes, and they pay all year long.
You know, this is simply amazing. When Measure 4 came out, all we heard from the legislators were, trust us, we got 40 different bills out there, we're gonna take care of you. They're sitting on flush from 10 to 20 billion dollars, nobody knows. They invest, somewhere in an article I read, did they grant out 23 million toward ambulance services in North Dakota? Am I wrong about that? Maybe somebody has that correct number. They've just offloaded all this tax on us with legislation. You know, I've been in an ambulance before. I've been in a medevac ambulance. I needed it. But this is bullshit. These dirty legislators are sitting on cash that they can't even count. And they can't fund out some to ambulance services.
And they're gonna wait till the dollar's worth less than what they got, nothing.
You know what? You five got picked to be scapegoats. Those shit. I don't mean to be rude. All this was put in place. All this was put in motion. And the people that pushed it probably aren't here. And you five are there saying, guys, we don't know what it is, and we see what it is. We see how many mills it takes to run an ambulance. This so-called property tax relief was all scam.
Not just that, I mean, like, pay the ambulance, yeah, we like an ambulance, that's kind of nice. But what about the rest? Like when the airport came in, well, we need that, the hospital needs that airport, the hospital needs the airport. Well, they wanted a bunch of mills, so who's supposed to pay for that? The farmers again. Now the nursing home comes and say, hey, we need a new nursing home, we need this, we need that. Here they come to the taxpayers again, we're supposed to pay. So who pays most of the taxes? The farmers do. So where is this going to stop? Why can't the from Haight come in and say, hey, we need some money too. This is a liable business here, and we're losing money. We gotta have money. Where does it stop? Who's going to pay for everything?
You know, and I agree with you, Don, Francis, like Francis said. Talk to your legislature. That's who's been putting a lot of this stuff down on us too.
Yeah, but this kind of got past us all now. I mean, this
Now
all
it's-
got voted in. So now what are we supposed to do?
Now it's to you. Now we depend on you.
Well, I'm hoping we do
I
the
mean,
right thing. for you guys.
don't just look at the mills and the expense. Look around where the cuts can be made. There's a lot of cuts can be made. When we get in a bind out in the farm, we cut things you wouldn't believe. And you've gotta go there. But you guys have a hard time going there. You've got employees, employee wages never come down. Farm wages come down. When there's no crop prices, you live on less. But for some reason, I've seen it over the years in retired employees that have a big pension never understand the value of the dollar. I've seen it for years. They don't understand. Not to pick on any of you, but I've seen it other places. They don't understand how people can't pay their bills.
Is there an ambulance association? I mean, like, as a group, like Francis said, you guys are kind of a scapegoat. That you guys go back and say, our people that are happy. And when you have maybe 40 counties that are going back to the legislature saying, this isn't working, we're not doing this, we need some of that money. Is there some place like that you can reach out to? I mean, we do expect you to watch this budget, but maybe push back on them. You guys are a voice, you guys are an organization, we're just individuals.
In the language of the bill, this bill, I believe, could be turned back in 2 years. And maybe we need to work on that. We need to turn this back.
Well, it just seems like everything gets stripped down from the taxpayers all the time.
The farmer's supposed to pay everything.
Because like I said, that $1,600 credit, the town people, they're feeling that. They're not paying. Ours keeps going up, and you know it or whatever. We didn't get tax credits, and I don't want to hear about the farm exemption thing. But, you know, when you guys increase, when you increase and theirs goes up, the state just picks up more of theirs. They're not picking up any of ours. And that's why I say, when you spend this, my taxes are going up 100%. They're going up. The city people in town aren't, unless they go over that $1,600 credit. We're tired of it.
But, I got two sides. I've got a house in town,
Right.
and I got farmland too. My house taxes went up quite a bit this year. I'm gonna go, I got my thing, they went up quite a bit, my house taxes.
Right.
That's for the specials though, right?
No, that's not even the special set, you guys.
But even that, like,
Yeah.
an average home in Linton, what is an average tax? I mean, I'm not gonna pull out people who have nicer houses and this and that, but when you look around, is the average house under that 1,600?
Well, it all vary, it goes by sales.
Right, oh, exactly.
Because every year they vary, because the homes have been selling good.
Right.
So taxable value went up quite a bit. Is that right or wrong? I don't know.
Tim, I asked Marlis today, and that $1,600 tax credit is gonna, $175,000 house in Linton is gonna take care of the $1,600.
Okay, so how much?
So it's about $175,000 house.
So Old Town will be way less than
Oh, any of these.
Well, what I read is there's 60,000 households in the state of North Dakota that are not gonna be paying any taxes this year.
And that's why they're shoving all these things on, because
Exactly.
the town
I mean-
people aren't gonna notice it or care.
Well, I was gonna bring up was when I started farming, that land in North Dakota and South Dakota. Our taxes in Emmons County were about a third of what South Dakota's was. Because South Dakota doesn't have a state income tax, they put it on the property. Now, we're up there with South Dakota's too.
And I'm not gonna, I'll just throw it at you. I know the taxes have gone up, but a lot of it points to, not knowing this room probably, but it does point to U.S. farms themselves. Because who's buying the land? Some of the land's buying and paying enough price. That's what's jacking that up too. And I'm just saying it the way it is. It's just like a house in town. It's going up because this guy's got to pay more for his house. That's what's bringing it down.
It's just the wind and the few that have unlimited money that are buying this 67.
And it's hurting you. It's the same thing with everything else. It's doing the same. So.
But I know a couple of young guys that had to buy land, they farmed it, and they had to pay $7,000 an acre. It'll take them the next 40 years to pay for
They
that.
can't even pay the interest.
It's not everybody.
But
This,
you
I was going to read you something here, Chairman, and this is where I think a lot of the problem is. This Gold Star Service, I believe it is. Rural Ambulance Service Districts. Gold Star Solutions was formed largely due to our experience in rural ambulance service districts. We have formed and organized districts, increased mill levies, annexed territories, and managed special elections and more. So when I held those newspaper clippings up, you guys, we all know we had nothing to do with it. That was all done by Gold Star, whoever they are. They managed this election, I think, at the public known this. None of this would happen. And it just says right on it, they raised millings. Now, I'm looking at your ambulance budget, and like I say, I'm a fan of ambulances. If I had my way, take the money away from the schools, we can self-educate and keep healthy people. Because schools get by maxing out whatever they want. But this is nobody local. Like I say, U5 are pawned off. Increase the mill levies, and I understand we have to increase them sometime to get services, but the same thing happened in McIntosh County.
What's the name of the guy that set up the elections? Ranch or something like that, or Ranch? Where was he from?
He was the guy that ran for District 8.
Okay, and he's buddies with Todd Porter, because that's who pushed this. We dealt with Todd Porter up there with our CO2 pipelines.
And Adam Parker and
Well, Todd
Bert
Porter owns the ambulances up there.
and Mike Berg, the whole works.
Isn't that a conflict?
Well, I don't know how they set it up, I'm just saying it was Todd Porter's bill.
You mean the guys who build the ambulances and the services, got the legislation.
The ones that sell them.
Todd Porter owns Bismarck Mandan ambulance.
Metro.
Or Metro, whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
And now they're running around to all the counties promoting, nobody asks them to come. They don't get paid to come, they're paid. And with this bill, when you guys want to buy a new ambulance, under this new legislation, it's no bid. You don't have to go out and get bid.
Wouldn't even be so bad if it was just a mill or two more, but 15 mills, that's a lot.
But the 2 mills you were getting goes away now, we start with whatever you guys decide on.
Right, and, 2 mills are just gonna be added on, so if it was 2 mills, we'd probably just add on 11 mills, or whatever, to get 13, or whatever it has to be.
Don't the 2 mills go away completely?
Well, yes, but the county's gonna separately have to give us a check for, like, whatever mills we approve. Let's say we go over, say we go, let's just go to 7, you go to 50 mills. We have to, the county has every month, whatever, a check or whatever they get.
I just meant the original 2 mills you were getting, that gets canceled now.
Well, that's, yeah.
So if you were getting 2 mills and getting by, or 4 mills instead of 13 mills, is that an option?
Well, can you survive? Yeah, maybe not maybe. Where the hospital did help out, but now they're gonna be on their own, so how are you gonna do it with nobody else helping?
You can't pay these wages on 4 mills, there's no way.
Right, you don't. And I'll tell you what, you guys, we lose the ambulance, we'll never get it back. Because how are you gonna get somebody to live in these communities again, Linton is pretty, it's been gifted in a way for having people come back and young families coming back here. And we gotta keep that.
Okay, before, we had ambulance staff that was helping out at the hospital, and they could get called. Now we have them just sitting here. Can we do something like that?
But when we help in other departments, let's build other departments. The ambulance doesn't pay for my hours in the ER if I help, or my hours outside mowing grass when I help with that, or I'm shoveling snow. Maintenance pays for that, not the ambulance.
Well, maybe that's what, can we look at the budget that way, where they're over there, the hospital budget has to reimburse the ambulance budget then? We gotta do something. I am not happy with 13 mills. I am sorry, that is just unacceptable. We gotta find some other answers here. Because if we were living on 2 mills, there's no way we need to go to 13. I don't buy it. We need to make cuts, we need to find other ways. And I don't know how you're gonna do it.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. Back in the 50s, I'm getting old. There were accidents, we lived right on Highway 83. We witnessed a few accidents, one death down by the lake years ago. You know who took the people into Linton to the hospital? My dad, my mother, there was nobody else. One stayed overnight, full of blood in the house. It was 2:30 in the morning. Take them in. That's what happened back in that day. And then in the 60s, it was offloaded to Pete Kraft, and his hearse was an ambulance. If you remember, he had a big red light on the top, and he'd go out and pick them up. But before that, it was whoever was there. You survived on your own.
Well, Dave Mott can tell a 2024 story, not much different.
For what?
When you drove yourself to the hospital. You shouldn't have been, but...
I drove myself to Bismarck.
You guys also understand nowadays, if that would happen nowadays, how many lawsuits you think come on that?
You're right.
You know, I get it. I get where you guys come from. But it's always, now you gotta be careful from getting sued or this happens or something like that. I don't want to be responsible for somebody dying in my vehicle because I'm saving money.
It's a different world. It's a totally different world.
You know, this is
Yeah.
where I come from. You know?
Yeah. Totally different world.
You know, and I know there was everything like the fire call, the ambulance that goes out because the fireman gets hurt or something. You know, I went to fire in Strasburg at Centennial with 9 or 11 fires go down for heat exhaustion and stuff. You know, I'll tell you what.
Well, maybe we gotta pick and choose something like that, okay? Sitting up at the football game, we're what, 6 blocks away, 8 blocks away. Somebody's sitting here anyways, then they should shoot up there. I'm saying, we have to look at this, guys, I'm not okay with this.
But what if it's your child? You know, I'm just throwing this in your, what if it be your child that's up there, maybe something else, if the ambulance would have been there, this could have been saved. I'm just throwing this out. I know what you mean, but you gotta look at.
Right, but I'm getting tired of people spending my money, whether it's at the county, at the city, wherever, because it's easy just to raise mills and not be accountable. And I don't want to get upset here, but I believe if you go back to the drawing board, there are places you can cut. That's why I'm here tonight. I didn't drive in 20 miles just to be snowed over. And like I said, it's nothing personal, but I want you to look at this. 13 mills is not acceptable. It's not.
Tim, listening to the radio today, they had a segment on of Bismarck and other areas where they aren't going to send full crews out to a lot of calls, and the 911 operator, maybe some of you've heard it on the radio, will determine if this old lady just fell down. We aren't going to send anybody out. It's just, you got to cut back someplace if it's not life or death. You know, some of these calls are frivolous.
Who determines that though?
The 911 operator, they said, will determine.
I wouldn't want her determining my life.
You might know her.
Hey, that could be you. You know where they would come out. You know,
No.
Could be you. You know, I get it. You know, this is a lot. We do need an ambulance.
That's not the point. The point is trying to we need to cut someplace. Like Ann says, we need to keep the mills down.
The only thing is we gotta find out somehow, because I think I'm right, but could be wrong, that you have to go 15 for 1 year to set a cap. That's what, Lyle, isn't that what we were told?
That's what I heard.
See, I heard that too, but then I also checked into it, and I heard it's not true.
Where do you check into though? I mean, I don't know, I'm just
I
asking.
have to call the state someplace, whatever, who's ever behind this whole thing.
You think they would know by now?
You know, I think they're gonna tell us, you know, 15 mills, you know.
Auditor Olhauser told me this morning that you have to go to the 15 mills, set that benchmark, and then you go down from there next year.
And that's coming from Mars, yeah.
Which you're almost there at 13 mills. It is no coincidence that the legislator set something up and it's magically 15 mills, almost what it takes to run an ambulance department. I mean, why not 20 mills? Why not 10 mills? Why not 50 mills? This 15 number that they picked, that had to come somewhere throughout the state. They knew what they needed to offload all this on the public, and it still comes down to the legislature.
Yeah.
This has been brewing for a long time between whether it's Gold Star legislators, your guys' hands are tied. You can cut a few things here and there, you may be able to drop a few mills off, but you're fooched. It's gonna go from, the hospital has to offload it. It's like the paper said, we can't lose $250,000 a year. The hospital has to offload it onto the ambulance, and the ambulance, now that the vote went through, 10% of the people of the county decided we're gonna offload this onto the taxpayers. It's not a coincidence that in Emmons County, it's the only county that came up with almost 350 voters total. Every other county probably had like 50 to 75. Somebody was, and it's not you guys, somebody was out there driving people to get here to vote yes.
Little
The
lad.
sad part
Yep.
is, you guys are snowball and you're the last one. We've had schools abusing the hell out of superintendents, school boards, you name it, county commissioners wasting it, and now you guys are sitting with the most important thing in the county, besides like the sheriff's office. We can get by without county commissioners, we can get by without schools, but it's hard to get by without an ambulance or a sheriff's department, right? You're in the food den now saying, hey, we gotta go to 13 mills. And it all started in the legislature. He just said back there, the money's not coming anymore from the legislature.
Another thing that's real too is, last year, we were over in Fargo, my mother got sick, she called. I said, well, she doctors in Eureka. So I said, well, call down to Eureka and tell them to send the ambulance out. So she did. In the meantime, I was supposed to put it out in 911. Linton Ambulance gets a call to come out too. Why?
That's the dispatch did that, so it's not, no.
But then Eureka Ambulance got there first, so they had priority on it. If Linton got there, they had to go to Eureka.
See what happens when they call comes, that dispatch, your cell phone or whatever, that hits that location. I'm thinking, I don't know how it works for her, maybe no one can answer that one, some of that.
What side of the state line are they on? I mean, if they're down with South Dakota border, it probably runs from over dispatch. I don't remember getting called to this call. If we get it,
So Nolan, could you tell us on average, I mean, I think I've heard ambulance calls around $4,000. How much of that do we actually collect?
I believe, so the fastest my administrator, but I'm thinking it's right around $400 or $500 that we're seeing coming in on average.
On a $4,000 call?
We write that much, have to write that much off, this is insurance they're gonna pay it. This is what it is.
Well, I believe you, but that's,
Yeah, this is to give you, Medicaid, $100. Doesn't matter if I have to take this person to Fargo, there's $100. And we have a lot of Medicaid down here.
There's another thing that's happened too with cell phones around the South Dakota border. I've called in a number of fires already. You get South Dakota mortgage dispatch.
Because it takes your
Go
location.
through the whole spiel with them, and all of a sudden they figure out, oh, we're in North Dakota, we got transferred to North Dakota. Why don't they do it right away?
You know, another thing we see very often that the ambulance goes by, you'll have a call at Westfield, you go all the way down past Highway 11, come all the way across, even if it's 10 miles west of Westfield. Why don't you go west of Strasburg?
Have you ever driven on county roads?
He's got us, didn't he?
He won that.
I think being in the station, I can get there quicker if I can take as much blacktop as I can.
But you add all that mileage on the blacktop to your mileage and it's all gravel from the blacktop going
We try
west.
to take the closest way and it depends on the call. If I'm going to Westfield, we cut across the Strasburg, down the road, down the Bach and over. If I'm down in the Hay area or over, is it Hull? Yeah, we're going to go down and run. So, I mean,
I've seen it many times when I see you go all the way to Westfield and go past our place.
Are we coming back or are we going out?
You're going out. You may come back the other way. I don't know. Anyway, just come.
But if you want to,
After this spring. Oh, he's
Well, what,
No, I just a quick comment, for those that don't know us, I'm Stephanie Little, this is my husband Bruce, we farm south of Hazelton. Great comments, great comments tonight from everybody. We need to work together on this. Like Ann said, we can't do this. We can't absorb this. So what are we gonna do to fix it? My question is, kind of Dave just asked it, are there a lot of people that use the ambulance that it's not a needed service? You know, for whatever reason, there was a comment made on how we're gonna maybe down the road have to decipher or determine who gets a ride in the ambulance, especially if you're not seeing reimbursement. I mean, how can you run something if you're not being reimbursed for it? I mean, it's kind of just a freebie. Do we have people calling the ambulance that need a ride to Bismarck or they're not feeling good, taking the emergency room? I mean, I'm just curious.
No, I think most of them get dropped off here, and if it doesn't get taken care of here, then they get shipped out. But I think most of the time, everybody gets dropped off here first, where they get shipped to Bismarck, you know? If the ambulance gets called, it's gotta go, and if the patient is brought here, depends what the needs are, I'm thinking too. But a lot of it, I don't know how it's detected, because that's what that other bill is in there, what you said. For that, is that
The bad debt.
EMS, whatever I think, right? Yep.
No, it's just like in the ER, we have a physician on St. Paul's that can stand in and give us some guidance and direction. I mean, I'm good, but not that good. They can order things that I can't, I have to call in for. Sometimes it's hard to try to describe something over the phone, they can see what's going on. They can interpret our 12 leads, our EKGs. They can watch me put a chest tube into somebody. I mean, it's a tough skill. I want some guidance on it.
Can people request being taken to Bismarck, Nolan?
They can request all they want. I'm not getting a century code to go to the closest appropriate facility. Linton Hospital code is the closest for everything except for a sick patient.
And childbirth.
Our decision line, just so you guys know, where it's half and half, is up by the Beaver It's where I can go more. It's halfway in between. Sometimes it's easier to go that way. I'd rather come here.
So
But we have went north to Bismarck just because we were closer and the station was crafted. I mean, if you're both hanging out, I know we come down here and take pictures, we're going to have to take you to Bismarck.
It is.
And there's some things I'm not sure. Have I been fooled when I brought patients in? Yeah, I didn't think they were that. Oh, we're taking, this one's really bad. There's one like, oh, this is the worst patient I've seen. We weren't that bad. Until I don't have X-ray vision. I don't CT, I don't have lab services, there's only so much I can do.
So
Quite a bit, we do more than most services in the state for the people in Emmons County.
So if I get drunk and fall out of bed and I call the ambulance to help pick me up, how much do I have to pay?
Where am I bringing you in?
Well, no, if I don't even want to come in, I just,
If I'm not transporting, you're not getting billed.
how
We
much
can,
do I have?
we can only transport, we only bill for what we transport. I can't bill you if you refuse my call. And people do refuse sometimes.
What percentage of your pickups are Medicaid clients?
That one I straight up, I don't know. That'd be for our CFO or CEO there. I just don't know.
Here would be, I can't say. It's not the majority.
It's not the majority?
It's not.
You can't do service based on.
You can't, you of course can't ask for payment or insurance.
So
we
you're-
wouldn't know until long after the fact, so we would ask for insurance.
So your capital purchases every year, Nolan, is that your depreciation of 68,000, or am I missing something here where you buy equipment? If you buy a new ambulance, is any of that even in here?
That's the depreciation.
That's a depreciation. So every year you take it, you average that. So looking at this here budget, and if everything is here, there's only one place Linton Ambulance can cut, and that's staffing, and that means you don't have full-time ambulance.
That would be very correct. Because I think it's a very lean budget.
I mean, you could-
Expensive is operate, but
You could cut $50,000 out of here, it's gonna save you a little over $1 million. Unless there's something else in the hospital that pay more, or insurance, but
It's actually an appreciation, I would say that, I mean, we want to be cognizant of what people are paying as well, and the appreciation. Even if you're not, because at all, 3 years or 4 years, you're not going to pay for it.
right. I'm thinking a new ambulance has got to be what, 300,000-400,000?
Yeah, we're taking into account that there's $144,000 for the defibrillators are only every 8 to 10 years, so of course, like, years later, maybe have more for them.
So that number there, you might want to change that to say like a 30,000 a year or something, once you have new ones.
Once you have new ones, you wouldn't need it at all. I mean, there's no, until.
The 8 years. So that's going to be a big number for the budget next year. When you could,
Well, this is next year's budget.
but then.
It is, I see that.
127.
Are you gonna provide the hospital budget to us? We are taxpayers, there are mills going from us to the hospital. We have a right to see that information.
The tax mill levy is, I mean, that's a public meeting as well, that budget.
You gonna have handout budgets? When is that?
That was actually last week was the annual meeting.
Do you have printouts of that budget that we can have?
It would have been available at that meeting, yes.
Well, it still
You
should
can
be
get it
available
anytime.
if we request it.
Yeah,
Every meeting minutes and all the budgets since that was, put into place, I know they keep record at the courthouse, so you can request them, and we'd be able to go back. I'm not even sure when I was put in place, probably 15, 20 years ago. They would have all.
So if the hospital and of course the ambulance goes on its own, it won't have that $250,000 loss anymore. Does the hospital run pretty well in the black then?
The hospital is very break-even business at best. Yeah, you're looking at losing or gaining maybe 100,000 to 200,000 a year.
It's not a lot.
Just one more comment. So if I'm right on the 15 cap, 15 mils, I guess what we're asking, if you're bound to that by the legislature, what we're asking is, if you gotta do the 15, then coming the next year, you gotta find a way to get that down as low as you can. Cause it'll be a hit the first year at 15, but then we gotta have some relief. And it's not your fault, it's the legislature if they force you to do that 15. And somehow you'll find that out, so.
And I would piggyback against that is, so you have to take in 15 meals this year. It doesn't mean we have to spend all 15 meals.
Right.
Then you can invest it or keep it so that next year's meals can go down.
Right, you know, if there's no investment, it's gonna stay, well, I suppose you put it in a savings account, maybe, I don't know how. You know, I gotta get this all squared away, because we're all gonna
Right. And I'm saying, if you're mandated to do it, doesn't mean you're mandated to spend it all.
No, I don't want, I want to have some money in there for if something goes wrong. You know, it would be nice to have some money in an account, but I'm not, and it's gonna be, because you can see that too, whatever is spent then after that, because it's taxpayer money, so you guys should be able to see whatever's being spent on it, so. You know what I'm trying to.
we expect you to go over everything as a board and you watch everything that's being spent. We would expect that of our board.
Well, no, I'm not saying, I can't pick out like if there's certain minutes or something that's gotta be bought or something, some stuff, you know. But most of all the bigger stuff, we should be able to keep
Well,
track of that.
you've got to. You have to. You can't just turn money over to him or Nolan. You guys make that decision.
But technically, you guys are the ones that's supposed to be responsible for buying anything. You can't let Nolan go out and just buy everything on his own. That's the responsibility of the board.
It's just, it could be much just like the fire district's gonna be running, you know? Jack, you know, no try, the board has to know what the hell goes on before it goes anywhere, you know?
We will be watching. We as taxpayers will be watching.
So you,
But I want it any different, that's, you know, you have the right to that. It's very good, there's nothing.
so you five are our board, right?
What's that?
This is our board, you five.
Yeah?
Could we have you introduce yourself?
Yeah, that's what I thought right away, yeah.
Yeah, who, I mean, could your name, just so we know
Hey, my shirt, negative.
Chris Turner.
He's dentist, or dentist England.
them? Okay, well, we're just interested in who's on the board, or I
And
am.
I don't know, I'm sure everybody has met her before already.
Leanne Holm. I live in town, well, outside of town, but I'm a pharmacist here.
Okay,
Now Tim Bull.
I know
Used to
you.
work in you, retired.
I know you.
Adam Place.
Okay,
John Bassett.
and they're all in town then, or?
Adam here runs funeral.
Oh,
So
okay.
Adam, you should be
And for-
against this so that you get more business.
Farms down there.
Don't be picking on these people out here.
Oh, okay. The big guy?
He wants to save life, not, you know.
No, he wants to hear them.
But no, let's move on, let's
It's
move
on the wrong board.
Jim, questions?
Yeah. Craig Miller from up by Hazelton. I think that the legislature and the insurance companies are to blame for this. They're not reimbursing these people for their costs. They don't have a say in it. They just take what they get. They can get more, if the insurance company would deal fair with them, that would be tremendous. We wouldn't have to raise the taxes then. Am I right?
Well, we need all you people to head back up that way, come and then start something.
Come with us.
Somebody
We know
besides
us.
us.
They know us all already. They would want to see some new faces advocating for.
I'd have to bring my grandkids along, I come 2 feet here in the winter.
That's okay, we have time for that.
But, no, we gotta move on, we gotta get this through. Anybody else have any questions? No? See what's up? No?
You take your grandkids up and show the legislature how to behave.
Yeah. They show them a green card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, I just have one thing, the only comment I really have is, I thought that election was a disgrace. I mean, plain and simple, that was the, I've been voting since 1970. This was a disgrace.
No, and I.
Nobody, I would imagine 75 or 80% of the county didn't even know this was happening. I know the rural people could have never stopped it. But by the same token, they should have at least known what was going on.
They didn't do it either until they
I caught it on that little article. Well, actually, the week before I caught it, I seen McIntosh County was having that. And you know what I thought? Them poor assholes over there are going to get nailed. And guess what I did? The next week I got the Emmons County Record, and now it's Emmons County.
I think it, whatever went all across state passed over.
Who ran the ads, Chairman?
I think Ken Renz put it in the paper, you don't say you take care of it.
So, Gold Star
And it's all for, let's, whatever, we've never all had for,
any other vote, especially on a bi-year or full-year vote, Marcy has full ballots in the paper for you to educate yourself. This was intentionally designed to screw everybody. There's no doubt.
That being said, I did contact the state auditor because I was dissatisfied with what I was seeing. And they told us it's legal. They did everything legal. So we're just screwed.
Well, what does that tell you now? We're coming here, and you guys probably aren't comfortable. You wonder why this room isn't full of 100 people. I called 25 people to come here and voice their opinion. Everyone is against this mill increase. They're all farmers. They feel that the city people have turned against them because they hear of high-priced land, and they don't realize the debt that's carried out there, and they don't want to show up here no more. They're just, you know what, taxes, it's no different. The schools have abused us, and everybody else. They're tired of it. So they're just going to take this beating. And this election here with this little 2-inch by 4-inch ad, that is just utter bullshit, and you five are stuck wearing it. No, I'm not changing places with you. I wouldn't blame you. You walked away.
No, I'm not gonna walk away.
And everybody says it's pay to go to meetings anyway because nothing's going to change.
That's what they say.
No, that's it.
I'm gonna go. Thank you. Just,
Thank you, Kenny, for your,
just take everything into consideration. There's faces to everyone that's sending money to the tax department. So, thank you.
okay, thanks, Kenny, thank you for all that good work. Thanks, Francis, for coming and giving us. Hey.